From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief creator of Amazing Ideas at Stunning Digital Marketing. In our monthly podcast, Ryan Waterbury and I sit down and we talk about reviews. The good, the bad, the ugly about online reviews. This is one episode you will not want to miss for your small business. Grab a drink, sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation. This episode of the SDM Show is sponsored by Stunning Digital Marketing, the agency to handle all your WordPress website security needs. Go on over to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and find out how we can help you secure your website so you no longer have an issue with backups, being hacked, or your website being compromised. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. Today I'm here with my good friend Ryan Waterbury, and we're going to talk about reviews today. How are you today, Ryan?
I'm doing great, aside from the wonderful heat.
No, it is hot everywhere. At the time of this record, I was saying it's over 100 Fahrenheit in the grand old scheme of Toronto, so it is hot, hot, hot. So find the beach is all I can say. So I thought today we'd jump into this whole discussion of reviews. And it's kind of a mixed bag. You can't run a business without it, but there are issues with reviews. So I thought I'd jump in and start it off by saying, I know as a consumer, and I'll take my marketing hat off for a moment, I typically don't read one-line reviews. I just kind of ignore them. Do you have any thoughts on what's a good review and what's not a good review?
You know, a lot of those one-line reviews, in my opinion, are, well, you can tell in our industry, if you look, a lot of those are what we call purchase reviews, and they're not real reviews. They really don't tell you anything. They're not social proof that the product or service does what it says it does. The ones that really have some meat on the bone are a short paragraph on, how you help that customer. And those are the ones that really tell me if the service is going to work for me or not.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. And I would agree saying I like the product. I mean, from a consumer standpoint, that doesn't tell me a lot. So it has 5 stars. I like the product. One of my complaints with reviews, and I'll get to some more of them because we were talking before we went to record, is pricing. When people like to whine and scream on reviews and say, I bought the product, but then I realized I could get it cheaper. I personally don't think that should be allowed in a review. And the reason being, when you bought the product, you entered into a contract for the product at that price. And if the product was delivered at the price it was promised, that's not the grounds for a bad review.
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of these products can be purchased at more than one location. So usually it's just those become not necessarily a review of the product, but, a review of the vendor. And that's not really a review that's worthwhile at all.
And the other ones I have a problem with is when a client violates the terms of service in their contract, breaks everything in the contract, and then they jump on your Google review page or Google My Business or Google Business Pages now called, and then they write you a bad review because they think they're entitled. And that's a problem too.
And Removing reviews, especially Google reviews, is I Google's better than some of the other platforms like Facebook, for example, that actually offer some support. But getting those reviews removed that are not reviews is next to impossible. So the best thing to do is to respond to those reviews. I try to respond to every review that I get on Google. And so far, and this can be a drawback, my agency has a 5-star rating. And that can be a negative sometimes. But, responding to the reviews that are negative and addressing some of the points of a negative review,
Yep.
that really helps. And that's one of the most beneficial things to do if you can't get it removed.
Yeah. I know one case. So I kind of look at my Google reviews. I've got 3 bad ones. All 3 bad ones are entitled into 2 clients. In both cases, the clients violated the terms of service of the contract. And then when they enforced the contract, they felt it was their obligation to write a bad review. And I'm sorry, if you've written a bad review, if you violate terms of your contract, you should not be writing a bad review. And I've actually jumped on in all cases, and I'm like you, I respond to all the reviews. So, and I've pointed out, actually in my comments, how these reviews are unfounded, why they shouldn't have been posted, what the client did wrong. And I've gone so far in one case, because I was asked for it, and said, could you show me and the client did sign a long-term contract. Could you show me the clause in the contract that the client violated? I said, gladly. I have no problem with that. And I think you have to respond to bad reviews, because if you don't respond, it kind of shows you don't care. And that's a bit of a problem too.
Absolutely. And not just reviews. I mean, social proof in general, and, addressing these with appropriate customer service. Reviews aren't just, those multi-star ratings that are attached to your social media page or your Google profile, but they are customers, whether good or bad, talking in Facebook groups, forums, and that's where it really gets difficult, where if you've got a disgruntled individual, you can really save some reputation by addressing anything that they've complained about. 9 times out of 10, especially when I see these public rants, I find that they're exactly where you found your negative reviews. There was a misunderstanding. The terms and conditions weren't followed. Support was never consulted. So I take reviews with a huge grain of salt.
Yep.
On the flip side, when I'm looking for physical products that I want to have help me with something, I'm an avid cyclist, so when I'm looking at new products, I always read the reviews. I do a lot of my own repairs, so I look for the ones that are longer, positive, and if there's a lot of negatives, I expect some pictures and some actual thought put into there. It's reviews are a double-edged sword.
It is, and it's funny because in one of these cases, the guy was so peeved off at me, he actually created a fake Google account. And Google refuses to remove the review from the fake Google account, which is ironic. And it was a personal attack on appearance, which should never have been in a review. He just was screaming sour grapes. And I truly think, like, people that read stuff like that, they actually read them and say, they're not stupid. People understand what's going on. And the other thing we got to be careful of with negative reviews is, and I get these emails every day. Would you like to buy 100 reviews? Would you like me to go slam 100 of your competitors with negative reviews? Which is 100% against Facebook and Google's terms of service. But there's people out there trying to sell fake reviews.
Oh, that happens all the time. I mean, it's always a problem with any type of numbers game, even in the SEO world with crappy backlinks. There's always somebody out there that wants to make a quick buck, and reviews are one way to do it. You can spot those a mile away. You pointed out one of the quick ones is 5 stars, no text, or 5 stars, one-liner. Hey, it works great. No information about the product. Yeah. Those are easy to weed out, and I think most consumers know which reviews are legitimate and aren't. But that star rating is a big deal. And when you start talking about Yelp and some of these other businesses, when you're doing a search on their platform and you sort by reviews, that can really kill your business.
Mm-hmm. And I also think it's all how you handle them. And I've sort of said that, like, don't ignore them, address them. And it's funny, when you address a bad review, my experience has been the reviewer can turn around and write a comment, and 9 times out of 10, they can't be bothered. They won't comment your comment on a review. They just can't be bothered. And that shows, frankly, they weren't invested in the service or what they were getting in the first place.
Exactly. And I think writing a positive response to a negative review and then receiving no response has a net positive effect for you, and in the long run, even though it may hurt your perfect 5-star rating, people will look at that review and hopefully read what the reviewer had written and your response.
I would say most people do. I think it's kind of important. Now, there's another side to reviews. We got to realize there's different people for different folks. So sometimes people hire somebody and you didn't connect on the communication level. You didn't connect on the emotional level. And sometimes that's a bit of a problem. I would say that's a big problem. And I would say the other thing is some people need to treat some reviews as a learning opportunity, because sometimes as a business owner, and nobody's perfect, including you and I, you miss something. And if that comes out constructively in a review, I think it's a chance to learn and improve, and that's important too.
Oh, absolutely. The good part about reviews, they're just one piece of social proof. And, when we talk about SEO, we want, that trust factor in there, expertise, authority, and trust. And when you see other individuals like yourself that have used a product or service and have great things to say about it and how it solved the problem for them, that's a huge selling point. And so you can't control reviews to a certain extent on some of the other platforms like Facebook or Google. You can certainly respond to them, but where you can control them is on your own website. And having solid social proof on your site is really important. And that's where you can showcase not only from that review, but showcase the work that you did for that client and let potential clients see right there if that's going to help them or not.
Yep, so true. The other thing I wanted to share about reviews, and it's really interesting. Clients or people who buy products, and it doesn't matter if it's a service from you and I or if it's from Amazon, generally as a rule, people write reviews when they're pissed off. I hate to use that word, but that's their way. Oh, I'm going to get back. I don't want to solve this. And personally, I think till you get to that point, you got to try and deal with the issue. So did you call support? Did you reach out to them on social media? Did you try and get some resolution? And sometimes it takes time to find the right people, but that happens. And then people say, I'm not happy, so they write the pissed off review. And as a rule, the only way people generally write really good reviews is if they're asked for it. They generally don't do it out of a habit. What's your feeling on that?
Oh, absolutely. My best clients, I've asked every single one of them for the review, and just offhandedly, I said, hey, it seems like you're really happy with what we did here, and I think we did a great job. Would you mind leaving me a review? I'm not shy about that at all. At first, when you start out, you're not sure if when is the proper time to ask for a review. Don't be shy. Ask for reviews. Your best clients are your strongest cheerleaders.
Yep, it's so true. And ask. Go ahead.
And I was going to kind of point out when, in response to the angry review, you see a lot of those on Twitter. Not so much, some of the other social media platforms, but, the social media managers that run those profiles are probably not the people you want to complain to. But that's where you see a lot of the angry complaining is social media.
Yep. And one of the reasons for that, frankly, and I'll share with anybody's story, my battles with Rogers Communications over the years are kind of legendary. And I don't know if I ever told you, Ryan, I got so fed up with reviews for about 3 years. I ran a blog called the Customer Service Hall of Shame, if you can believe that. And basically what I did was I used to write about companies that didn't fulfill their promises. And these were ones that even after you went to social media, didn't go to Twitter, went to Facebook, called them, wrote letters. And I think part of the problem is people, even after they get the problem resolved, they don't say thank you. So let me throw an example out there. I was working on a friend's Rogers issue. I called Rogers. I spoke to a manager. The manager basically told me to do what I wanted to do. Okay. Good way to run business, not. So I happen to know with Rogers Helps, which is a Twitter account, and a shout out to that team because they're usually pretty helpful. They have a direct line to what's called the Office of the President, and that's a customer service department that reports right to the CEO's office. So I reached out to them one day and said, this is what I was told. This is where I'm at. And by the way, I'm looking at moving to a competitor. What do you want me to do? And they put me in touch with the right people. When the issue was resolved, and it took about a 2-week period, I actually thanked them publicly on Twitter for solving the issue. Most people don't do that. And that's part of the problem. They like to whine and snibble and complain and stir, but they don't know how to be gracious and say thank you either.
Yeah, I find that happens more and more often as we've moved into a more connected and digital-first society. It's unfortunate that people want instant gratification. They want it now, and then F you, I'm done. And walk away when they get what they want. And that's unfortunate that there aren't enough thank yous. There's not a lot of praise. It's what can you do for me? And I want it done right now. So that's the bad side of the review and negative social proof.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I also wanted to throw out there a technique for getting reviews that works really well. So if you're running a retail store, right up at your cash, you should have a URL that says to review us on Facebook or Google. Go here. I'm a big believer of that. But I'm also a big believer video reviews unedited work really well. So this is a tip I picked up years ago from a newsletter I was reading. It was probably 5 or 6 years ago, and said in certain industries, unedited reviews do well. And I've got 2 clients that do it really well. One who runs a jewelry store, and somebody will say, I love this piece. And he'll grab his iPhone and say to them, you love this piece? Would you oblige and say this into the camera? And he'll post that unedited. And another, believe it or not, is a restaurant, a small mom and pop restaurant. When people say, oh, they love the way the food looks, they'll say, really? Could you take a picture of that and then say it into a video? And they'll put the two together and say, this client's raving about the food they went in to get. What do you think about video reviews?
Images, video, photo, those are really powerful because they're, direct consumer experiences that, especially when you talk about food, we know when we see those commercials for Burger King, Hardee's, Carl's Jr., Arby's, that food is immaculate, airbrushed, and well lit. It's nothing like you get in the store. So when you have a customer that posts a live shot, a live video, and has a great review about presentation and good things to say about the service and quality, that speaks volumes. More than a lot of other marketing channels that you can put into, because it's an actual experience. It's not you highlighting or showcasing. By the way, all of our social media profiles are a highlight reel. This is actually, a solid customer experience that really happened. That's not in your own personal highlight reel.
Yeah, it's so true. And the key is when you're doing those type of reviews, if it were me, I wouldn't even put branding on them, even at the front or the back, because then you say, they put branding on it. What else have they edited? I would just, honestly, I'd upload them to YouTube and let them fly personally. And that's just my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of that material is great for putting together a showcase for your website, your testimonial section, or even an ad campaign. But this is where I like Google for restaurant reviews, and being able to look through photos and positive and negative experiences to find out if a restaurant is going to be somewhere that I want to go or not.
Yeah, so true. And as I say, it's hard to get clients to write that positive review. I've got one really good client of mine. He's great, pays his bills, does everything. I've been trying to get him to write a review for 6 months, and you know how that's going, right? So
Hasn't happened, has it?
No, I'm still waiting for it. It's funny, as we're recording this, I'm thinking I need to send him another note just to harass him and remind him just a little bit. But that's another story. Do you have any other good tips for managing reviews for clients?
I think the biggest tip, and I actually did this morning when I was walking through a website with a client, that we pulled in some of the most positive reviews that he's had about people that have rented his condo, and we prominently displayed them on the front page of his website. And the personal reviews, reading through those, were fantastic, and they said more about any of the copy that I went through and wrote about the rental unit. Just the personal experiences, talking about the service, the location, the venue, and things that they liked about it that I would have never thought to write in any of the marketing copy. Yep. It helps other people understand the experience that they should expect to have.
Mm-hmm. Have you taken the time in your reviews when you pull in like Facebook reviews or Google reviews? Do you do a tool, or do you just like to pull in the text?
You can use tools to pull them in. It really depends. And for me personally, I like to get a quote and write up a testimonial that goes along with my portfolio. So when I do work with the agency and we have a really good, successful project and the client feels great about it, I feel great about it, we sit down and talk about what things worked and didn't. And I ask them just to kind of sum up in a few sentences or a paragraph. And I let them know that, I want to, put this in our showcase about the good things that they enjoyed about the project, the work, and put that together. So I think it depends on industry. I think testimonials in our type of work are more important. But if you're working in a retail location or you're working in a restaurant, pulling those in dynamically from Google or Facebook, using a tool, it's pretty easy. There are APIs to do that.
No, I know. And I must admit, I tend to pull mine in manually because then I can lay them out nicely if I need to or things like that. That's just my personal opinion. But you got to do what works for you too, right? So
yeah. And I think it depends on the industry. We do both testimonials and pulling in automatic reviews, but and each has its different use case.
So true. Any other tips for reviews, Ryan?
Number one tip is ask for them. Yep. I don't see a lot of people out there, and this is across all industries. I don't see enough people asking for reviews. Some of the e-commerce retailers have it built into the workflow, but that's just one touch point. Where I see a lot of the small businesses out there struggle is they don't ask their good clients that are appreciative to write a review. Most of those clients are going to be more than happy to say good things about the experience that they had with your business.
So true, Ryan. Thanks for jumping on and talking about reviews, folks. I would suggest that if you aren't getting reviews, do what Ryan says, ask for them. I ask for them. I know Ryan asks for them. We kind of counsel our clients to ask for them. Somebody wants to get a hold of you, Ryan, how's the best way?
Every major social media platform at One Dog Solutions. You can visit my website at onedog.solutions, or you can email me at ryan.waterbury@onedog.solutions.
Thanks, Ryan. Have an amazing day today.
You as well, Rob.
This episode of the SDM Show is sponsored by Stunning Digital Marketing, the agency to handle all your WordPress website security needs. Go on over to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and find out how we can help you secure your website so you no longer have an issue with backups, being hacked, or your website being compromised. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com. A very special thank you to Ryan for joining me on our monthly chat on this edition of the SDM Show. Thank you for listening to this edition of the SDM Show. The SDM Show is brought to you by Rob Cairns and Stunning Digital Marketing. For more information about Rob Cairns and Stunning Digital Marketing, go to stunningdigitalmarketing.info. From here, you can connect to us on social media, go to our website, and even go to the podcast to subscribe. This podcast is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much. Keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the stars. Make your business succeed.